tell us more about what Rex Education and to officially open today's event. Let us hear from Rex Education's Chief External Affairs Officer, Ms. Danda Carmelda I. Buhani.
Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for taking time out to be with us today. Before we move on to today's exciting discussion and lecture, allow me to introduce to you the brand new Rex Education, a brand, a community, an advocacy, and a tradition of service dedicated to inspiring every Filipino lifelong learner to advance themselves and uplift others. With 70 years of service and dedication to education, we have evolved from that iconic bookstore that we all know to something bigger and more significant. From just providing learners with published educational materials, we are now accompanying everyone throughout their lifelong journey, learning in all forms, beyond the walls of institutions, learning for delight, enlightenment, and fulfillment. And true to our tradition of service, Rex Education is guided by the Educampion philosophy, which seeks to rally and empower education duty bearers. We believe that all of us are educampions. Champions for education are all working with the best interests of the Filipino whole learner in mind. As Rex Education, our mission is to empower all duty bearers in the field of education to champion education no matter what the circumstances are. It is through and because of this that we are excited to spend the next 2 hours with you as we come together to unveil our most updated offering for the Philippine legal community and our brothers and sisters from the Islamic faith. Titled Islamic Law and Succession, this book will cover authoritative Islamic doctrines to aid bar hopefuls and practitioners of Shari'ah law to understand better the intricacies of succession in the light of the Quran. This book takes into consideration thousands of years of history and is firmly rooted in Quran and Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad to condense it into an easily understandable and readable reference material. It is for a fact that Islamic succession is generally perceived as a perennially difficult Sharia bar subject. Owing to the inevitable computation of shares in the inheritance, one of the innovations of this book is that it will present a simplified method of computation of heirs share for easier understanding of Sharia students, examinees, and practitioners. Today, we have an honor to pick the brain and hear a lecture from the author of Islamic Law and Succession himself. He is Sharia counselor, examiner, reviewer, and an Islamic studies professor known for his years-long of expertise in the subject. Friends, join me in welcoming our partners in championing legal education, Dr. Jamel R. Cayamodin.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته and good afternoon to our viewers. First and foremost, I would like to express my words of gratitude to the Rex family for allowing us to launch my book today. And to our listeners, thank you very much for following us. Uh, let me share to you the very brief okay my today's presentation will be composed of 3 parts. The first part is the brief history when I wrote the book, and the second part will be the content of the book, and the third and last part will be the salient features of the book. The brief history of the writing of the book. Now, the writing of the book began as early as 2014 when I taught at the Institute of Islamic Studies the law on succession, or Islamic law of succession, in our institute at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. During my tenure, my time in UP Diliman from 2014 to 2019, I was frequently, or I was actually regularly appointed or assigned to teach Islamic law of succession to graduate students, because basically the Institute of Islamic Studies cater only postgraduate or graduate students taking Islamic Studies program. Now, I was assigned for 5 years, 5 long years, to teach the law of succession to those master students. And I found the complexities and the seemingly lack of reliable sources on the law of succession. And because of the complexities and lack of, I would like to say, with respect to those authors who wrote books on Islamic law of succession, I realized, or I felt, that there was a need to write a book or to demystify the salient features and doctrines that have been hampering many students and Sharia bar examiners. Because during my stay at the University of the Philippines, I actually reviewed, or I taught students who were candidates for bar examinations. I think I taught students who took the 2016 bar examination when I also one of the examiners. But at that time, I was assigned to give or to handle the persons and family relations. It was not succession. And after that one, in fact, that time, one of our students in UPIIS got first place, actually. He was a top notcher. In fact, she will be giving a testimonial today. And following that year, from 2016 to 2017, right after the bar examination, I kept on lecturing Islamic law of succession to those who would take the exam in 2017 and 2018, and until 2019. So, in other words, my writing of the book took at least 5 long years. Yes, because I even continued writing the book when I already transferred at the King Faisal Center for Islamic Arabic and Eastern Studies, where I am now connected with. Now let's talk about the content of the book. Basically, the book has 7 chapters in addition to appendices. And the chapter 1 of the book is about the methods and rules in the distribution of inheritance. Now, we need to remember that the methods and rules in the distribution of inheritance are not actually discussed, are not tackled in the available literature. And that is why the available literature, the available books, the authors of the books of Islamic law of succession do not have the uniform methods, procedures, or I would say formulae, the formula used to to solve problems that require rules, doctrines, and so on. So my book, I think, based on my readings, my book is the first one to discuss, to address the gap by introducing the so-called vertical method and horizontal method. And I divided, I do research on the authors using the vertical method and the horizontal method. And in fact, I explained why is it called a vertical method, and also why is it called horizontal method. And I even suggested which one to follow, because based on my experience as an examiner of this subject in the 2020 Shari'ah bar examination, I feel that there is a need to, or one method is actually better or advantages over the other, especially from the perspective of an examiner during the Sharia bar examination. So you will find in my book how I used horizontal method across rules and doctrines. And we need to remember that in the bar examination, theories are not actually difficult. Theories are not difficult because you can find books, many books, that talk about the theories of Islamic law of succession. You can find many books. But what is not found in the literature is the technical aspect, the mathematical competition. Although you can find some who really engage in the mathematical competition of these cases, but it's not enough. It's not enough actually. As I look at it, as I scan, as I read all those books available in the Philippines, it's not enough. Especially when two rules or a rule and a doctrine need to be combined in one case. I have yet to see a book. I have yet to see a book that will say or that discusses the combination of one rule and one doctrine, or two rules in a case. In my book, you will find that one rule is combined with one doctrine, or sometimes in a case you can find that at least three rules or two rules per one doctrine is used. This is the uniqueness of my book. And I think in the previous bar examination, I gave some questions that require this kind of problem. And I'm glad that some of my students, in fact, they got higher marks during the bar examination. Now, the rules in deriving the root of the problem, asal al-mas'ala, is very, very important. And although this was discussed in very few books, the rules in deriving the root of the problem, but in my book, it is actually explained based on actual simulated cases. And you will understand properly how to use tamathul, tadakhul, tawafuk, and tabayun. Because this is the complex part of the Islamic law of succession. In fact, many students are actually confused on this. Many students are confused. Many bar examinees are getting confused of these four types of numbers and what to use or how to compute cases, problems that require this or that include these four types of numbers. In fact, when I was under the training in way back in 2006, there was only one author or a reviewer who introduced to us this doctrine of correction and using only one case. Under my book, you can find a lot of examples for you to compare and contrast, for you to practice. Because by looking at those examples of tamathul, tadakhul, tawafuk, and tabayun, you will learn eventually how to use this one. So that was, or these are the content of the first chapter of the book. And I think this is very, very useful. In fact, the only examiner, as far as I'm concerned, the only examiner using these things is me. Because when I look at those bar examinations, in the previous bar questions, You can only find very simple questions without even using these numbers. And the next chapter that I'm going to discuss is about the doctrine of correction. Now, the doctrine of correction actually is very, very important to learn about, because this is a doctrine. This the first uh, doctrine that normally confuses bar examinees. And if you look at this one, I underline B, C, and D. Why is it? Because it is only in my book. I'm proud to say actually that it is only in my book that you can find a case requiring doctrine of correction with two groups among is. So you can only find in my book that I introduced the resolution of cases involving two groups requiring doctrine of correction, or tasheeh al-mas'ala, and the use of juz as-siham. And it's not only two groups, because I even introduced 3 and 4. And I think by following the pattern of resolving cases, you may increase as much as you can. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups, problematic groups in a problem. But same formula I introduced should be used. And this is actually consistent. The formula is consistent across other doctrines and rules, because we will be discussing other rules and doctrines. Now, this is the content of chapter 2, the doctrine of correction. And you will learn a lot. How to address problematic groups, how to address problematic groups. And I repeat that you cannot find, you will not find any book that will teach you how to resolve cases with multiple groups with problematic shares and problematic number of heads. And actually, I introduced this doctrine of correction, the rules on the doctrine of correction, and I introduced step-by-step procedure in order to get the right answer. Yeah. Now, the third chapter is the doctrine of increase. Doctrine of increase, the owl, and the doctrine of rad, or doctrine of reversion. These are just the two doctrines, which are actually very, very, very complex, very confusing, because of how they are resolved. Now, if you look at the existing literature, the existing books in the Philippines, and even those foreign books, they only discuss the doctrine of increase in a very simple manner. Yes, they did not, or you will not find formula. You will not find step-by-step way of resolving cases requiring doctrine of increase. But in my book, you will find this one actually. You will find the step-by-step procedure on how to solve cases requiring doctrine of increase. This is very important. And not only that, because if you look at this part, cases of RP6 increase of the problem 7, 8, 9, and 10 with corrections involving 1, 2, and or 3 groups of errors. Basically, grouping errors under the doctrine of correction is a two-in-one solution, meaning that you apply the doctrine of increase at the same time applying the doctrine of correction, meaning two doctrines in a case. So looking at this is the This is one of the very unique features of my book when I introduce the doctrine of increase, explaining step by step procedure on how to resolve cases requiring doctrine of increase, and giving examples that has one, two, three groups in a case that eventually require, that case will eventually require a doctrine of correction, meaning two doctrines in one case. Actually, I've been reading books on Islamic law of succession, but I did not find a book that resolved case involving two doctrines. And in my book, you find this one. And in fact, this is the, I would say, characteristics. This is just one of the characteristics of my questions. Every time uh, I give questions, you find two doctrines. And I hope that it will help. It will help Shari'ah bar examinees. And the cases of RP 12 increased to IRP, or increased root of the problem 13, 15, and 17 with corrections involving 1, 2, 3 groups. And also cases of root of the problem 24 increased to IRP 27 with corrections involving 1, 2, or 3 groups of pairs. This is one of the unique features of my book when I resolve these type of cases. Alhamdulillah. And I hope that examinees will familiarize this, and use it. They can make use of it during the bar examinations, because if you can resolve these cases, then I think you can resolve any case, any problem thrown during the Sharia bar examination. I am reminding the prospect Sharia bar examinees that if you will manage to learn this, how to solve these types of complex cases, then I'm telling you, you can resolve any case asked in the bar examination. Now, the chapter 4 is the doctrine of reversion, or arad. Now, basically, the doctrine of the doctrine of reversion can be found in many books. It can be found in many books. You can look at the book of Justice Alawiya, the book of Dr. Hussein, the book of Abdul Rahman Doi. You can find this doctrine. But the only author that discusses this doctrine better is the book of Alawiya, actually. The book of Alawiya. But my book differed. It has difference from the book of Alawiya, because the book of Alawiya has laid down the formula on how to resolve cases under rad, especially in the third and fourth kind. Now, my book also has different formula on how to solve rad, but I'm telling you, being an examiner of the subject, being a bar examiner of the subject, I designed my formula in a way that it will be easier. It will avoid the so-called marking in a bar examination. Yes. And the problem of those books existing today, containing the doctrine of reversion, is that they never try to put property. Yes. They do not try to put property and resolve cases, or resolve the case. In my book, you will find every single detail, because normally in the bar examination, the property is given. So what is mentioned in the available literature is that only the raw problem. So they resolve the case by giving only up to portion. In my case, I give until the individual natures. And I even included I injected under the doctrine of reversion the doctrine of correction, which is not found in any book as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. I read the book of Hussein, and Hussein is actually he is discussing Rad slightly, and the very basic Rad, and he gave a lot of examples. Alhamdulillah, the book of Alawiyah is very good, because in fact he is the one who introduced the four kinds of Rad. But to integrate the doctrine of correction, no, we will not find that one from the book of Alawiyah. So in my book, I introduced the doctrine of correction in the first kind under the first kind of Rad, and in the second kind of Rad, and in the third kind of Rad, and also in the fourth kind, and every single type of number, tamathul, tadakhul, and tabayun. Yeah. Meaning that you will only find this kind of a detailed step-by-step procedure to resolve cases involving the doctrine of reversion in my book, as far as I'm concerned. Because I don't know if there are books outside the country that discusses the same. Yeah. Now, I want to remind the listeners, our viewers, that the fourth kind of Rad will only allow three types of number, contrary to the views of other authors when they said that tawafuk is possible. No, it is not possible. Tawafuk is not possible under fourth kind, or the numbers that are in agreement are not possible. These are not possible in the fourth kind of Rad. Yeah. Tamathul, tadakhul, and tabayun, these are the only numbers that you can see, you can find under fourth kind of Rad. And I explained in detail how to find this tamathul. Which of these numbers should be called tamathul, tadakhul, or tabayun. Okay? I explained in detail how to find this one and what to do with that. Yes. So these are the content of the chapter 4 of the book. Now let's move to the chapter 5 of the book. Now, chapter 5 is, I normally call this one as the most interesting part of my book, but I was only using the word interesting part, but actually this is the most difficult part of any book. Yeah. And by the way, I think only Alawiyah discusses thoroughly this rule. We call it sometimes vested inheritance, al-munasakha. And the difficulty of this problem is that it has also three kinds or three situations. And under third situation, it has or the four types of number are all used. And I think in terms of the formula on how to solve the problem under tamathul, under tadakhul, tawafuk, and tabayun, under the third situation of the rules of the devolution of vested inheritance, you will not find this one in any book. Yes. I would like to say, I'm proud to say that we will not find this one. In fact, as I told you, I wrote this one in 5 long years just to imagine, just to devise a formula when I was at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Because even the book of Alawiyah did not provide a formula on this. But in my case, I provide formula in order to resolve cases clearly from tamathul, from tadakhul, tawafuk, and tabayun. And this is how to perfectly resolve cases that involves al-munasakha, or devolution of vested inheritance, whereby 2 decedents are computed. Yes. So, and not only that, you can also find the injection of the doctrine of correction under this rule, meaning that we are now combining one rule and one doctrine. Now, the chapter 6 of the book entitled mandatory bequest. And when we talk about the mandatory bequest, this is one of the controversial part of the Islamic law of succession in the Philippines, because because it is regarded by many as innovation of Islamic law. This is called bequest by operation of law under Article 107 of the Code of Muslim Personal Laws of the Philippines. So, if you look at this provision, you will not find anybody, no author, as far as I'm concerned at this moment, no author gave step by step, was able to demystify, was able to explain how to I would say distribute properties under this under the bequest by operation of law. In fact, it was not discussed in the book of Alawiyah, and it was not discussed on the book, in the existing literature, in the existing resources on Islamic law of succession. It was only mentioned slightly in some books, but to explain how to give the share of these excluded or disqualified heirs, like the son's child or son's children, and the disqualified parent or parents or spouse or spouses, no one actually discussed this one. So this made the prospect bar examiners and even students of Islamic law or Islamic studies wondering or in limbo. They found it difficult, because they couldn't look at any book that discussed this provision of the Code of Muslim Personal Laws of the Philippines under Article 107. So I tried to, explain this one clearly. What should be done? How are you going to resolve cases when this mentioned heirs, three types of heirs under Article 107 of the Code is present in a case, and when two or three of these heirs are actually present, how are you going to resolve cases in addition to the existing heirs, other heirs, especially residuary heirs. So I explained those the reasons why this mandatory bequest is used. Why was it adopted in the Philippines, and how does this bequest by operation of law under Article 107 of the Code differ from the mandatory bequest in other countries, found in other countries. There are many countries, Tunisia, Egypt, and so on, because they also have this kind of mandatory bequest. But the mandatory bequest found in the Philippines is not the same with the mandatory bequest found in those countries, because the mandatory bequest found in the Philippines is unique because of the inclusion of the disqualified heirs. I'm referring to the non-Muslim parents and the non-Muslim spouses. What is found in those countries is only excluded son's child or son's children because of the existence or because of the survival of the son, other son. We are referring to the uncle. That is only the mandatory bequest existing in those countries. But in our case, in the case of the Philippines, it is actually unique. That's why sometimes we are tagged as it's more fun in the Philippines, because even our laws is unique. The laws applied to Muslims in the Philippines are actually unique. And I explain why is it so? Why is it unique that the law on the mandatory bequest found in those countries is actually has been expanded in the case of the Philippines. And I hope that, in fact, this is one of the salient features of the book, the explanation of mandatory bequest in detail, how to give the shares of the other heirs in the presence of those mentioned heirs in Article 107. That's the content. That's the content of chapter 6 of the book. Now, the chapter 7, or the final chapter of the book, is rules, special case, and succession. I try to introduce my view of Al-Gharawaini, or the two bright stars, Al-Gharawain, the two bright stars, which is very famous during the time of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. And the Al-Gharawain has been debated during the days on how to resolve cases like this. And I have some opinions on this, my personal opinions on how to use this rule in the contemporary period. And I added the succession by true grandfather, Jadhiga, and collaterals succeeding together, surviving together. And in fact, these special cases are actually available in some books, but I just introduce how to properly resolve cases involving property, or involving inheritance, the mira, when these special cases occur. Yeah. Okay. So what are the salient features of the book? What are the salient features of the book? Now, I would like to say that one of the very salient features of the book is that my book introduced new formulated methods that I've been looking for other books. I've been looking for other books that discusses these methods of resolving cases in succession, but I couldn't find it. Actually, I couldn't find it, and that is why I formulated these methods, procedures, and formula. So meaning these methods, procedures, and formula are actually new in nature. They are new in nature. You will find this one. You will find this helpful because it resolves the problem on the lack of formula, lack of procedure available in the available literature. And the second one is it advances the rules and doctrines. Because basically, when we look at the existing literature today, they only discuss a very slight portion, very slight, very narrow aspect of these rules and doctrines. Yes. So my book advances. It goes to the limit, up to the very difficult problem, because I want the bar reviewers, the bar reviewers and the bar examinees to erase their doubts. I want them to be confident during the bar examination, and even the students. I want them to resolve cases. I don't want them to ask frequently. I don't want them to ask frequently to other people because they don't know what to do with this. My advancement of the rules, when I advance the rules and doctrines, meaning that I look at every possible scenario, meaning that my book will help you to, to learn the solution, or how to solve those very difficult rules and doctrines, or those very difficult cases requiring these rules and doctrines. And the third salient feature of my book is the interpretation of some provisions. Especially, I'm referring to the Article 107 because Article 107 was not really discussed thoroughly in existing sources of Islamic law of succession. So I try to simulate problems, simulate cases, and resolve it using the rules and doctrines under this provision of Article 107. Now, and the last one is I would like to remind the prospect bar examinees that this book, Islamic Law of Succession, Sales, Rules, and Doctrines, I authored, is actually designed for Sharia bar examination. And by the way, this is not a quizzer. This is not a this is different from the quizzer. This one is a reference book, and I designed it for Sharia bar examination, meaning that Sharia bar examinees can rely on on my book on the technical aspect, meaning that if you have difficulties on how to address, how to answer those problem on succession, especially when it requires when the case requires uh, doctrine or rule, then I guarantee you my book will help you. My book will teach you step by step, very easy way on how to resolve those cases. I hope that my book, I spent more than 5 years actually because I continued writing this book as I transferred to King Faisal Center for Islamic Arabic and Asian Studies, especially for my first year, because my second year was the process of publishing and editing and reviewing. So I spent a lot of time and I would say sleepless nights in writing this book. And I really hope and pray that it will help and it will, I would say, be useful for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in compliance, in concurrence to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I thank you very much for listening. I think that's all for me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you for that very rich presentation, Dr. Cayamodin. We are very honored to receive such expert guidance, especially at a time when the study and practice of law have become more challenging. In behalf of Rex Education, allow me to congratulate you on yet another feather in your cap with the release of this book. We look forward to learning more from you through your books and lectures. Congratulations, Dr. Cayamodin, and here's to more years of working together as stewards of legal education. All right, please be informed that you may ask questions to the speaker by typing them in the comment section. There will be a time allotted for Q&A at the latter part of the session. And to tell us more about what makes the book an expert guide and resource in the study of law, let us hear a message from Dr. Anwar M. Radyamoda, SHL, Director of Shari'ah Center at Mindanao State University, Marawi. Let me read it for you. Dr. Cayamodin is a competent professor of the MSU. His authored book on law of succession and inheritance is excellent. I'm recommending to uphold his book. It will help students, learners, researchers, and promote Rex education. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Radyamoda. And now we are very honored to be joined by another legal expert who can best guide us on how we can use the book for an optimum learning, especially for the upcoming bar examinations. Let us all give a warm welcome to Professor Jashim A. Abdul Rahman, SHL, Sharia Bar Second Placer 2008, and Sharia Bar Reviewer.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. First of all, allow me to express my gratitude to Rex Bookstore for their unending support to Muslim scholars and authors through publishing their works and treatises. And to congratulate my brother, Dr. Jamil Cayamodin, better known to us as Doc James, for the launching of his new book entitled Islamic Law of Succession, Silent Rules and Doctrines. Doc James is one of the graduates of Islamic Studies Department of King Faisal Center for Islamic Arabic and Asian Studies, Mindanao State University, who deserve commendation due to his service in Muslim legal profession and in promoting Islamic studies education. I and his friends and students were aware of his academic endeavors and painstaking engagement for the sake of knowledge of Shari'ah and Islamic fiqh or jurisprudence. As a researcher and academician, he prepared numerous articles and lectures that serve a good reference in Islamic law of succession. Beyond doubt that his expertise and experiences as practicing Sharia counselor, professor of Sharia and Islamic studies, Sharia bar examiner and reviewer brought him the capacity to write one, if not the most difficult field of Islamic law and jurisprudence, that is the Islamic law of succession. These characteristics have rendered the book even more useful and informative, not only to the Sharia bar candidates, but as well as law students and Sharia practitioners. We are aware that hundreds of Sharia counselors accepted and found Islamic succession as a killer subject during their Sharia bar examination. This is not only due to the content of the subject matter, but its intricacy, particularly in calculation of the respective shares of the legal heirs. That is the reason when Dr. Jamil Cayamodin discussed the rules, it seems that this is the time that the Sharia bar, Sharia bar candidate should have a copy on this book. Remember that unlike in regular bar examinations, that usually examiners are not giving questions that needs computation. But in the Sharia bar examination, most, if not most examiners wanted to test the knowledge and competency of examinees by giving question with calculation. With this, the valuable book of Dr. Cayamodin has successfully revealed the solution to the difficult field of Islamic succession. This really brings relief to the students of Sharia that found Islamic law of succession challenging. So grab the opportunity and have a copy of this book. It is hoped that this academic product will prompt and encourage other men of Islamic scholarship, Islamic institutions and universities like King Faisal Center for Islamic Arabic and Asian Studies and UPIIS to work, and thus a lamp will light more lamps. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turn this book useful for those who wanted to be part of Sharia legal profession, to be a good reference to the Sharia students as well as law students, above all, a source of benefit for the general Muslim community. We pray that Allah maintain your courage, my brother, and a determination and grant you further better opportunities to undertake more and more services for the support of Sharia and knowledge. Again, congratulations, Gary, my brother, Dr. Jamil Cayamodin. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Professor Abdul Rahman. We are very honored to have you grace this event and guide us through how the book can help and guide us achieve our dream of hurdling the law bar exams. Now, let us listen to another expert evaluation of the book. Let us all give a warm welcome to Sharia Counselor Juhaira A. Datlan, Sharia Bar First Placer 2016, and Sharia Bar Review.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Sharia Counselor Juhaira Ambyong Datlan, currently employed as Development Management Officer 3 at Sharia Training and Education Division of the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos. I passed the special Sharia bar examinations last January 2016. From then, I served as lecturer in the subject of Islamic Law on Succession in the series of Sharia training seminar conducted by our commission. First, I am sending my congratulations to Dr. Jamel Cayamodin, my former professor at UP Diliman, for his book. Congratulations, Doc. Also, to the Rex Bookstore for continuously reproducing this kind of resourceful material. As a Sharia counselor, I saw it myself the need of the references when it comes to the Islamic inheritance. There is a struggle or a challenge for both the lecturers and the students to deeply understand the terms, the application, and the different doctrines of fara'id or the Islamic inheritance. And there is a dire need to learn this. Learning this subject is fardu kifaya or a community obligation for all Muslims. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in its English translation, Learn the laws, learn the laws of inheritance and teach them to the people, for they one half of the useful knowledge. When it comes to inheritance, we witness and we know that this is one of the issues that our community is facing now. The legal or halal way of disposing one's wealth after death, this caused either conflict or misunderstanding from family to family. One of the reasons is because of our lack of knowledge by how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed it for us. By this, I am calling my co-Sharia counselors, Sharia practitioners, Sharia students, and the whole of the Muslim community within our country to support the book of Dr. Cayamodin. This is a big help, not only in our academe, but also in solving communal problems we are facing right now. In addition, this is very timely since the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, or the NCMF, through our Bureau of Muslim Cultural Affairs, are currently training more than 2,000 trainees, which will be the prospective examinees of the incoming Sharia bar examinations tentatively scheduled on January 2020. The book is highly recommended since it is complete, well organized, and in detailed. It will be very useful either you are a Sharia practitioner or an accustomed to the field of the Islamic law. I would like to repeat myself. Let us support the perseverance of our co-Muslim brethren, especially if the works done are for the benefit of the Muslim community as a whole in the country. And that includes Dr. Jamel Kayamudin. Jazakallah khair al-jaza. May Allah bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you for all these kind words, Dr. Radia Moda, Professor Abdul Rahman, and Sharia Counselor Datlan. Hearing your praises of the book gives us utmost pride for having been chosen and entrusted with the publication of this masterpiece. In the same vein, allow us to express our gratitude to you as well for being stewards of legal education and of the law practice yourselves. Now we're opening the floor for the question and answer portion with our author, Dr. Jamel R. Cayamodin. So feel free to comment your questions below. We will be selecting 3 questions from the comments, and as we move forward, I will be reading the questions on our author's behalf. All right, do we have any questions? Once again, I would like to remind everyone that we have an online raffle later. All you need to do is register on the link that is pinned on the comment section below. Don't miss your chance because we will be giving away one copy of Dr. Cayamodin's new book entitled Islamic Law on Succession, Salient Rules and Doctrines. Do we have any questions from our viewers? All right, now is your chance to ask our author, Dr. Jamel R. Cayamodin, who himself is a Sharia counselor, a Sharia bar examiner, and a Sharia bar reviewer. So don't miss your chance and ask for questions. All right, Dr. Cayamodin, I believe that our viewers has fully understood and your presentations, as there are no questions and clarifications. Okay. Once again, Dr. Jamel R. Cayamodin, do you have anything else to say before we proceed with our raffle? Dr. Cayamodin, can you hear me po? All right, so once again, congratulations and thank you once again to Dr. Jamel R. Cayamodin. All right, this time, as promised, we will now be giving away a copy of this new book. Who will be the lucky one to win the book Islamic Law on Succession, Salient Rules and Doctrines by our beloved Rex author, Dr. Jamel Cayamodin. Again, reminder, we will be announcing the name of the lucky person for this raffle wheel. If your name is called, please comment present so we know you're here with us. We will then verify if it's you who won. However, if after 30 seconds we did not see any comment, we will be drawing another winner from our list of registrants. Oh, I think Dr. Jamel is here. Okay, so we will be proceeding with the question and answer first. Dr. Jamel, can you hear me po? Dr. Jamel? All right, so I think Dr. Jamel has a technical difficulty, so we will now proceed with our raffle. Okay, so can we please flash the wheel of fortune for us to know who will be the lucky winner and who will. All right.
Yes. I'm here.
Technical difficulty, so we will now.
Mom, I'm here. Yes. Yes,
All
Mom,
right.
I'm here.
All right. Dr. Jamel, we will just proceed with the raffle and then we will go back with the question and answer.
All right.
All right. Okay. So congratulations to Alik Hamlon. Once again, congratulations to Alik Hamlon. If you're here with us today, kindly comment present on the comment section below so that we can verify if it's you. Once again, congratulations to Alik Hamlon. We will be giving you 30 seconds to comment present. All right, I think Alik Hamlon was unable to comment present, so we will be drawing another winner. Congratulations to Russell A. Gulo. Once again, congratulations to Russell A. Gulo. Russell A. Gulo, if you're here with us today, kindly comment present on the comment section below. We will be giving you 30 seconds to comment present so that we can verify if it's you. Once again, Russell A. Gulo. All right, congratulations to Russell A. Gulo. You have won a copy of Dr. Jamel Cayamodin's new book entitled Islamic Law on Succession, Salient Rules and Doctrines. So a REX representative will be sending you an email regarding the details on how to claim your prize. Once again, congratulations to Russell A. Gulo. Okay. So now, Dr. Jamel, can you hear me po?
Yes.
All right. So we will now be proceeding with the question and answer. So let me just check. Okay, we have our first question, Doctor.
Okay.
From Yasin Siamin. Assalamualaikum, sir. Kindly explain us how much this field of knowledge important.
Yes. The ilmul mirath, or the science of inheritance, is very, very important. Although is actually considered by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a fardu kifaya. In learning, it is fardu kifaya, communal obligation. But as of this moment, in our contemporary society, given the legal problems in our society, or in the Muslim society, it is almost imperative. It is almost imperative because if you look at the causes or the factors of the spread of, or the increase of the number of feuds in the Philippines, specifically in the Muslim society, you will find that one of the reasons is the problem on property, especially land disputes. In fact, we have researchers found that because of land disputes, and I only see the non-use of the Islamic law of succession as the reason of why these land disputes occur in our society. On its religious aspect, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded the Muslims to learn the science because it is half of the beneficial knowledge. It's how important it is. It is half of the beneficial nisful ilm, actually. That was how he mentioned it. Okay? Half of the beneficial knowledge. And he further said in another hadith, that learn the science of inheritance, because if no one will be learned, if no one will be a judge on this law, then a fitna will ensue on earth, meaning that land disputes and other disputes on property will ensue on earth. So that's why he regarded it as half of beneficial knowledge. And that's how important it is. This Islamic law of succession. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jamel. For our second question, what are your advices to the reviewee who will take the Sharia bar?
Yes, that's a very good question. Well, I have a lot of advices actually. I have a lot of advices. In fact, when I was checking this, the test booklets in the past, this recent one, the recent Sharia bar exam, I was taking notes. I was typing. I was writing my tips. Okay, my tips on how to pass Sharia bar examination, especially the subject on succession, because I think this subject is the most difficult one compared to the three subjects in the bar examination, and this is where most examinees flunked. Okay, they failed under this subject, especially when those doctrines, those salient rules, these difficult rules appeared in the bar examination. And many students, many examinees are not familiar with this. So my advice is that try to familiarize this. Try to grab a copy of the book and familiarize the salient rules and doctrines, because I explain it in detail, step by step. So even actually a high school student will understand it as long as he will follow or she will follow my step-by-step procedure. Yes. With regard to the tips, I have a lot of tips actually. I think more than 100 tips. I have a lot of do's and don'ts. I might just share this one of these days before the bar examination, because it's important. The do's and don'ts during the bar examination. I endeavored to collect this one, to write this one while checking. That's why I'm always delayed in my two experiences, two bar examinations. I'm always delayed during the checking, because I write those do's and don'ts for the sake of the examinees, that they will pass the bar examination. Although some people would say I am the strictest examiners, but I'm not. I just follow rules. I don't compromise. So I wrote those techniques and tips. One of these days, inshallah, maybe I might share it in my Facebook account. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jamel. All right. And I think that's it for our question and answer portion. Dr. Jamel, do you have anything more to say before we end this program?
Yes. Again, I would like to express my words of gratitude to the Rex family, Mom Dayan Formoso, Mom, who else? Who are here? Jonah, and the officials of the Rex bookstore. Thank you very much for allowing us to launch this book of mine. Our listeners, our viewers, I really hope and wish and pray that you will find this book helpful and grab a copy of the book. I'm telling you, you will not regret buying this book. In fact, it's very cheap. It's just 460 pesos. And I guarantee you that it will help you. It will make you confident as far as the law of succession and its technical aspect is concerned. And I pray for your success in this coming Sharia Bar Examination 2021. May Allah increase us in knowledge of Sharia. I think that's all from me. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All right, congratulations, and thank you once again, Dr. Jamel R. Cayamodin. All right, on that note, we have come to the end of this afternoon's program. Indeed, it was a very productive learning afternoon with our luminaries, Dr. Jamel R. Cayamodin, and our distinguished guests. On behalf of Rex Education, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for having been chosen as your partner in legal education. We look forward to more years of our fruitful partnership as we continue to work together to enable law students and lawyers achieve their dreams of becoming lawyers and excelling as one. To everyone who joined us this afternoon, thank you for learning with us and for choosing Rex to be your partner in learning. See you all on our next book launch and lecture. Thank you and keep soaring, Edo Campeones.